Hello there, welcome back to another Fort Triumph video with Ungainly Titans. So I finally got around to playing the skirmish, not the skirmish, the campaign, story mode of Fort Triumph, which I have not done in possibly 2 or 3 updates back. Mostly I've been rather caught for time, I don't know what exactly, various things have been going on and I seem to be constantly short of time. So when the various updates to Fort Triumph have come out, I have mostly checked them out by playing a skirmish campaign or a couple of skirmish campaigns, using the human faction as my baseline so that I have a kind of a consistent baseline to judge each campaign by. I recently put up a series of videos where I played through most of a skirmish campaign, the skirmish game. So whatever it is, three hours of playtime. But I didn't complete it was about 5 hours of playtime. But I didn't. In the final video, I have 3 videos up. So the first 2 half until I found the AI town, and then the final bit was essentially a summary of the end, because the end turned out to be a long, tedious grind. The campaign, I'm pleased to say, is actually far, far superior at the moment than that's under 11.2.2, 0.11.2.2 version. The campaign version is far, far superior play experience than the skirmish game, because it doesn't turn into a long, tedious grind. You're not trying to break down this massively overwhelming defense by simply attriting it down to the point where you can deal with it. In fact, it's far more dynamic. And what exactly happens? First of all, they have reintroduced the mission to rescue the savage. So you start off with your 3-person party in the inn. They decide to become an adventuring group, and you don't have the immediate contact Aureline scene. What you have instead is that there's just the 3 of them, and what you have actually in the inn when you go after the intro is you have a scene where they're discussing the message board, the job board, sort of like certain types of D&D campaigns or whatever, where there's a job board at the inn. So what adventures are available, sort of like an MMO type situation, what quests are available. And they see the quest and it requires 4 adventurers, and there's only 3 of them. But they also see a sort of a message from another adventurer looking for a party, looking for a group. So the opportunity then is to meet the 4th adventurer. But it turns out that the savage has been captured by goblins. And it's a fairly tough fight, so you can't just leave the tavern and go in and expect to win. Well, I couldn't. Other players might. But I certainly could, not with the starting skills. But however, the other aspect of the game is that they have limited the skills, so you can't get skills past tier 6. So if you look here at the thing, tier 6 is the limit. In fact, yeah, 4 to 6, that branch is as high as you can get. So one of the effects of that means that you might not want to take experience every time you get the opportunity to take it. You might actually want to take the Bitcoin instead. It also becomes the building upgrades and guild upgrades actually become quite important. So finally, the other thing I noticed there's the encounter that we need to do next. It's where the savage is inside that cage. But the other aspect of it is that if you spend too long building up experience, gathering resources, upgrading your town, upgrading your party, buying the guild upgrades, and so on and so forth, it doesn't really affect well, obviously it'll make find the rescue the savage an easier experience, and it also will make the Garrison Crunchy Bones encounter easier. But the Barbaric the Terrible encounter, well, it won't be different. But actually getting into the town, getting at the town, could become impossible. Because what happens is that if the AIs had the chance to build up resources and buy creatures and do all the same stuff that you've been doing, and it has enough time to do it, when you approach the town, you will find the AI will sortie from the town with a very strong party. So if you put your party within a move of the town, they get clobbered, and I mean really clobbered. Absolute steamroller of an attack comes out of the town. Even if they don't get clobbered, if the party, say the town, the AI is feeling a little more cautious, it'll just park a strong encounter just at the edge of the town, right at the entrance. So you can't actually access, same as a garrison on a beet farm. You can't access the town until you defeat this encounter. So wait too long, and this encounter could be an impossible, a no-win encounter. So you won't get to see Garrison or Garbaric the Terrible, because you won't be able to get into the town in the first place. So it's a balance. There's a definite feeling that, yeah, you're on a clock. You need to gather enough resources to make the assault on Garbaric the Terrible viable, but you also need to... you can't afford to hang around too long, or the defense as you approach Garbaric the Terrible becomes overwhelming. So this is a much more interesting and dynamic game, and it's not, should we say, it's not the kind of tedious grind. I suppose you could be if you let it go long enough. If you allowed the AI enough time, it could turn into a grind. But if you manage to hit the town early enough, you can clear out the goblin patrols, you can clear out the parties that are outside the town, and eventually you can reach the point where you gain entrance to the town. And once you do that, you have the final encounter. That's about the gist of it, really. So I think it's far better. Like, it's a far more interesting game, I think. So one more thing that I want to add, and that is that I've been given a sneak preview of the Skirmish game for 0.12.0, which is the next update, I presume. And this is going to go live probably the end of this week or early next week. I presume they still have to tweak the campaign side of it, but I was just basically told play the Skirmish side and ask what did I think. Actually, I think it's excellent, lads. It's really nice. So basically what have they done? There's some major changes that will completely change the economy of the game. So I'm going to show screenshots here, one or two. But essentially they brought in a new resource. It was always in the game, Renown. But Renown is now a usable resource. And basically so you have Bitcoin, Magic and Renown. And you gain Renown by winning fights. And the better your result. So if you get an A+ victory, you get more Renown than if you get a D or an E class victory or whatever. So the score you get on the fight governs your Renown. And Renown is part of the currency for guild upgrades. So the guild upgrades now become purchased with Renown or a combination of Renown and Magic. The town upgrades are Bitcoin and Magic as existing, but they brought in a town management screen, and the town management screen it's not going to be menu driven like the current systems. So you'll have little plots of land where you build your upgrades. So you're limited to the number of upgrades you can build on the plots of land. They get more expensive as you upgrade them. So you get more. So you have to sort of pay to dig out the foundation, so to speak, and then you pay for putting on your building. And the first one, you start with the town hall, and then you can upgrade it or whatever to the next one up, and so on and so forth. And then if you want to put in, I don't know, the university, you have to dig out a little plot of land and plant the university down there, and then once you have it down, you can upgrade it. That kind of stuff. There's also a lot more stuff. I won't go into all and everything, because I probably haven't even seen all and everything. But there's more stuff. There's different kinds of magic items, things that you can pick up, more resources, stuff like that. Garrisons, I'm not sure whether that was happening. I have a feeling it was in the last update, but I've certainly noticed that garrisons can improve or increase on some of the independent garrisons. So the ones on beatcount farms or treasures, some of those can increase as the week rolls by. So as a week turns over, some of those garrisons get bigger, which again affects the dynamics of the game. The AI seems to be tactically more adept, actually noticeably tactically more adept on the battlefield, and the way the AI handles itself party-wise seems to be better. Now, I do think I played a couple of games of it, of the skirmish game, and the first couple of tries, it was obvious I was going nowhere fast. My sort of normal approach to research and buildings and stuff like that wasn't working. I had to completely rethink how I was doing things and kind of focus a little bit more. But the other thing that I noticed when I did find the enemy town, they had a very, very strong party. More than I was willing to take on with my group of heroes. And I actually let them pass, and I let them attack my town. And I went and attacked their town. Now, they did sortie against me with a fairly strong party, but it was a winnable fight. And I would have regarded it as a winnable fight. Even if I had been the aggressor, I would have gone in and fought that fight anyway. But I was able to have a defense on my own town strong enough to beat them when they came in. And I think it was a tactical mistake at the part of the AI. The AI should have used that party to come back after me, or possibly split the party. But I know they're going to change the party rules in the future so that the AI will operate on rules closer to what the player operates on. And I'm not sure if there's much point in dwelling too much on a tactical mistake that the AI made on a particular, or operational mistake sort of thing that the AI made in a particular playthrough of the skirmish game. I've changed some of the iconography. The colours as well seem to me to be changed on the heroes. They seem to stand out better. I haven't tried the customization, but it looks like it might stand out better now. Nothing like matching D to action, and actually I just fired up the game there just now and had a look at the colour customization options, and I do think they actually stand out better than they used to. I think there's been a slight redesign of the models, and it definitely looks to me like if you actually edit and change the colours now, it's much more noticeable the effect of it than it was previously, or at least when they introduced it first. So just to put some final thoughts on this video and what I have seen so far, I think this is shaping up to be really good. I think the skirmish game, as I've currently played it now, I've only played it once, but I think I would certainly play it more times than this, and I'm definitely looking forward to the final, should I say, 0.12.0 update. I think it's going to be really good. There's some major developments in it that are going to make to change the game considerably. I'm definitely had to change the way I approach the skirmish game. My previous strategies were made obsolete, and that's probably a good thing. I like the fact that in the campaign game, as you definitely have a time pressure to be efficient. I played it through once where I took a very slow approach, and I just spent a long time. I think it was the third week before I went and attacked the Garbarrick the Terrible. And there was a garrison sitting outside the town that I just couldn't shift, not with my hero party. And it was actually more effective, shall we say, to just stop and say, right, I've screwed up here, and let's restart the game and be more efficient about my upgrades and the stuff that I buy in town, and with the quality of my party by the time I arrive at this destination, so that it won't have such a strong garrison. And that approach turned out to work for me. So I think overall you have a very challenging game here. And in the Skirmish game, you have a very nice little war game, and potentially, if you ever bring in multiplayer, there's a basis, I think, for a nice multiplayer war game there as well, as a kind of a future development, maybe, perhaps. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, give it a like and a share. Please comment, it really helps the channel out. If you have not already done so, please subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell so that you'll be notified of future videos. I will catch you all again soon. Bye for now.